Hey guys, what's up? It's iFlynn here, and in today's video, we're going to be going through my top 10 recommended Helminth abilities. If you don't know what Helminth abilities are, these are basically abilities that you can take off of Warframes and put them onto any Warframe that you like. You'll need to farm up a Warframe that you need the ability from. So let's say, for example, if you wanted the Nourish ability, you would need to farm up a Grendel Warframe, then sacrifice that to your Helminth, and then after your Helminth has digested the Warframe, you'll be able to take Nourish and put that on any Warframe of your choice over any ability of your choice. This list is in no particular order, and all these Helminth abilities that I'm going to list can basically be used on any Warframe in the game. A lot of these Helminth abilities that I'm going to be talking about are going to make certain playstyles more effective. So again, in no particular order, first up we have Nourish. Like mentioned before, this is the Helminth ability that you get from the Grendel Warframe, and you can farm up a Grendel by doing arbitrations, getting some Vitus Essence, going to the arbitrations honor vendor located in any relay, then purchasing the little nav beacons that you need. You then have to complete these Grendel missions that disable all of your mods, bar augment mods, and then whenever you complete them, you'll get some of the parts for Grendel. The reason that Nourish is such a powerful subsum is because it's an ability that is easy to mod for, as it only needs ability strength and ability duration. It gives you bonus viral damage to your weapons, meaning you don't have to mod viral onto the weapon itself. Instead, you could use corrosive damage, for example. So you could have viral, corrosive, and heat all in the one gun. It also doubles the amount of energy that you pick up, basically, as it gives you a energy multiplier, which is going to scale with your ability strength. And it also has this unique explosion effect, so whenever you take damage to your health, it lets out this viral explosion, which is going to apply viral procs to all surrounding enemies. So it buffs up your damage, gives you more energy, and mass applies viral procs to all of the enemies around you. What's not to like about that? Next up, we've got Roar, and this Helminth ability comes from Rhino. Now, we should all know where to farm up a Rhino Warframe. We go to Venus, and then we do the mission called Fossa. We kill the Jackal over and over and over again, so we can get the blueprints for the parts for Rhino. Think of Roar just as the gold standard for damage buffing in Warframe. It's just going to give you bonus damage. It scales again with ability strength and ability duration, and it also has this unique effect of acting like a Bane mod. And what Bane mods do is they give you even more bonus damage to your damage over time effects. So if you're somebody who doesn't like throwing Bane mods onto your weapons because you have to remember to swap them out depending on the faction that you're going against, then Roar is a pretty good option for you. It is also just a good option if you are running any damage over time effects anyway. So say, for example, heat or electric damage. The meta for melee weapons in Warframe right now is to use melee influence, which requires you to have electric damage on your melee. And these electric procs are going to spread to all of the enemies around you, basically. Roar is going to amplify the damage of all of the electric procs that you apply to all of the enemies quite significantly. So if you don't like using Nourish as a damage buffing ability, you're going to like using Roar as a damage buffing ability. Those two are kind of the go-to meta gold standard for today's meta of Warframe. Next up, we have a unique Helminth ability. This doesn't come from any Warframe in the game. This is just one that is built into the Helminth, and you'll get it after leveling it up a little bit by sacrificing multiple Warframes. And this is Energized Munitions. Now, the reason that I put this onto the list is simply because it can make weapons that feel pretty bad because they have really bad ammo economy feel really, really good. This ability can make a weapon that feels unusable feel usable again. When you pair that with a Warframe that can damage buff these particular weapons, such as Mirage, for example, Energized Munitions turns into a devastating Helminth ability to have in your arsenal. What this does is it makes the ammo economy of the weapon far, far better. So take, for example, the Excelsior Prime. This is a very fast-firing sort of AoE explosive weapon. If we turn on Energized Munitions, well, we have way more ammo to shoot, and we can just deal more overall damage to more enemies. Silence from Banshee is another great Helminth option. It is one of the best crowd control abilities in the game because it also has the added benefit of turning off enemies' abilities. So you know those annoying enemies called Eximus units that have these annoying abilities that can sometimes, leave you with damage over time effects or slow you down and stuff like that? Well, turning on Silence is going to turn off those effects from the Eximus enemies. Any enemy that is caught within the radius of Silence whenever you've got it active is going to go into like a stunned animation, which is basically just unescapable. You can pair that with other crowd control effects like Nova's M Prime ability to slow this animation down and basically make enemies like not be able to move. So So you turn off the enemy's abilities and you instantly stun them. What's not to like? Up next, we have my personal favorite Helminth ability, Pillage. If you're struggling to stay alive or you're struggling to deal damage in the steel path, Pillage is definitely the way to go. Not only does this ability strip away the defenses of all of the enemies around, it gives you those defenses back in the form of shields directly to your Warframe. So it can remove enemies' armor and shields and then just gives that back to you so you can use them to shield gain. It's extremely easy to mod for because you can either go for duration or range. The only downside is it needs a lot of ability strength to full strip in one cast, but then again, you don't necessarily need to go for the maximum amount of power strength because you can just recast the ability as it's a really quick cast to get rid of all the enemy's defenses. It's extremely versatile, really easy to mod for, and it just does so much for you. It's a no-brainer to make a list like this. The little brother of Pillage is Terrify. This comes from Necros, and what it does is it strips away the enemy's armor and crowd controls them. It needs a lot less ability strength to fully strip away the enemy's armor. It just doesn't have the defensive capabilities of Pillage. Instead, it's just crowd control. It makes the enemies run away. So if you're making a build where you can't throw on a lot of ability strength, but you still want to have some nice armor strip, then Terrify is the way to go. Let's say we already deal enough damage and we just want to stay alive. Maybe we want to go invisible. Well, that's where Evade from Site 09 comes into play. So this is quite a unique Helminth ability because it keeps your Warframe invisible, but to keep the invisibility active, you need to run around and get headshots. So it's an excellent survival tool if you're able to actually headshot the enemies, which might prove to be difficult in group content if you've got a buddy who's like just blowing everything to pieces. But if you're playing solo, well, Evade can be a lifesaver when it comes to survivability. You can just take your time, line up a headshot, and you keep on doing that, and you're invisible for an entire survival mission. You can put this on any Warframe. You could even put it on Banshee. You can have all the damage buffing capabilities of Banshee, the crowd control effect of Silence, and then you put Evade over her 4, and bada boom, you're invisible, lots of damage buff, lots of crowd control, no enemy abilities, you're unkillable. Zada's Whisper from Zaku is another unique damage buffing ability, which I would recommend using on basically raw damage builds. This is going to buff your weapons up with void damage, which has this unique status effect that puts a bubble on the enemies. And this bubble works the same as Mag's magnetized bubble, basically, where if you get a projectile inside it, let's say your ult fire from your 547 amp, it's going to twirl around in the bubble and multi-hit the enemies. Zada's Whisper in the past has had some crazy interaction with some Incarnate weapons, and still to this day, you can do some crazy things with most of the Incarnate weapons in the game. So if you just want to deal a lot of damage and you're using Incarnate weapons, try out Zada's Whisper. You could throw it onto any Warframe that has some damage buffing capabilities, like let's say for example Saren. Wrathful Advance is the Helminth ability from Kullervo from the Viri, and what this does is it gives you bonus critical chance on your melee weapons. This is probably the ability that you see a lot of YouTubers recommend on any pseudo-exalted Warframe. It's not always going to give you the highest damage potential, but it does look cool by giving you the big red numbers on the screen. It's probably best in slot on a Warframe like Excalibur, and you can even run it on a Warframe like Valkyr, basically any frame that is melee focused. It's going to make dealing a lot of damage with your melee weapons very, very easy. The higher your critical chance is, the more crit damage you're going to be dealing. Wrathful Events is again scaling with the amount of ability strength and ability duration you've got on, so it just makes sense to run it on a melee Warframe like Valkyr. Finally, we've got Breach Surge. Now this is a unique crowd control damage buffing ability, kind of. So your Warframe is going to do a little twirl in the air. It's going to let out these little wisps. These wisps are going to blind the enemies. Then whenever you shoot them, they're going to let out a little spark that is going to taxi your damage and multiply it to other enemies. So it's like a crowd control damage spreading ability. Very cool if you have an ability or a weapon that deals a lot of damage and maybe it's single target, but you want it to kill a big group of enemies. Well, Breach Surge is the way to go with that. And with all that being said, I think that's pretty much it for the top 10 Helminth abilities in the game. Let me know what you think about my list in the comment section below. Make sure to subscribe, leave a like, and if you want to support this channel, go ahead and watch another video. Thank you guys for watching this one, and I'll see you guys in the next one.